The White Lotus date makes Lisa from Blackpink so unlikable. Talking about work promotions on a first date can be a buzzkill and an eye-opener. This sentiment also applies to co-workers, which security guard Gaitok, Tayme Thapthimthong, discovers when taking Mook, Lisa, out for dinner and a Muay Thai fight on the White Lotus. After weeks of bumbling mishaps, endearing Gaitok finally has a win going into the penultimate episode. He got the gun back from the Ratliff villa without getting caught and proved to be quite the shot at the firing range. However, nothing ever goes right for those who visit or work at the White Lotus. The adorable couple's night begins to fall apart when Mook bristles at Gaitok's lack of killer instinct. Matters intensify when Gaitok recognizes a tattoo that belongs to the man who viciously pistol-whipped him during the hotel robbery. What will Gaitok do now that he knows fellow employee Valentin, Arnas Fedaravičius, duped him? Throughout this season, Mike White explores spiritual enlightenment and masculinity. Sometimes the two intersect, whether on a surface level like Saxon, Patrick Schwarzenegger, trying, and thankfully failing, to get into Chelsea's Amy Lou Wood pants, or Gaitok's explanation to Mook about why he abhors violence. It is no secret that Gaitok is into Mook. He transforms into the heart eye emoji whenever they talk. A few weeks ago, Gaitok was so distracted by his crush that he forgot to lock the gun away, which is when Tim, Jason Isaacs, stole the weapon. If anything, Gaitok doesn't deserve the promotion, not because he lacks a killer instinct, but because he is terrible at his job. Sorry, Gaitok, but you are far too kind for this line of work. Whereas the nice guy has become a TV trope to Shona, whole masquerading as someone kind, Gaitok is the real deal. I digress, because while Gaitok should explore other employment options, I also cannot take how crestfallen he looks when Mook encourages him to unlock his inner fighter rather than respect his Buddhist teachings. Or rather repeatedly prods that violence remains an option in the right circumstance. By this point in the season, White cranks up the symbolism. We see shots of the two Muay Thai competitors cut between the usual crushing waves imagery before Gaitok and Mook, or Lori, Karikun, and the Russians have even arrived at the fight. To hammer home the point, the teachings from the monastery, where Piper and Lachlan are, accompany images of Rick Walton Goggins on his quest for vengeance. So much so that when the monk says, "Every one of us has the capacity to kill," it lingers on Rick's face. It turns out that Rick also lacks the killer instinct, and Chelsea will be thrilled in this battle between hope and pain. Hope has won out. The monk continues as Gaitok picks Mook up for their night off. Buddhist scripture condemns violence in every form. Violence, aggression, and anger stem from the same source: fear. The message here is pretty obvious, but if you are still unsure about Buddhism and non-violence, Gaitok reiterates the non-violent teachings when he tells Mook why he didn't fight back during the robbery. Mook doesn't hide her disappointment, and there may be a flicker of getting the ick. At first, it seems like she will pull it back into supportive territory when she commends him for his morals. The but does the heavy lifting in the other direction. Mook thinks Gaitok needs to live in the real world, unloading this mood killer. Plus, I also thought you were more ambitious and wanted a better job. Oof. It gets worse at the Muay Thai fight when Mook points out that fighting is a natural part of life. What Mook might think is a gentle pep talk reads as admonishing his sweet, earnest core, and I can't help but be disappointed in her drive for Gaitok to prove his masculinity, or to not yell at my screen in reaction to hers response. However, a part of me also realizes opportunities might be limited. If the bodyguard job is a path to financial security, then Mook's intentions are good-natured but clumsy in delivery, especially if she wants to settle down with someone who isn't an LBH loser back home. Given what Gaitok realizes at the fight, we are on a collision course to something awful happening. Knowing the White Lotus propensity for dumb deaths, it will also be avoidable. Gaitok glances down from the cheap seats and spots a familiar tattoo ringside, confirming that Valentin distracted Gaitok so his two buddies could rob the hotel's high-end boutique. Laurie also makes this discovery later that evening, during her mid-bathroom escape, after her one-night stand is, thankfully, interrupted by a jealous girlfriend.